Now that we've logged into the system, you'll see a couple of areas here. First being the superannuation tab, which you can see there the SMSF pensions, which we click on to create the new pension. The second tab is the My Files information, which stores both the data that you prepare in respect to the creation of SMSF documents, and also the document which is put down below once you've utilised that data and actually created the pension. So what we'll do now is look to create a pension, and later on we'll look at how you can actually reuse the data file to actually provide the same result for the same client. So the first thing we do here is we look at creating the SMSF pension, and it opens up a series of tabs here in which you need to work through to prepare the document. And it provides also with a range of mandatory fields that literally take you through on a step-by-step process to make sure you completed the document appropriately. So what we do here is we just need to simply type in the name of the respective member and put in all their personal details. Again, with the red asterisks are the areas in which they are the compulsory tabs that need to be completed, so I will literally just focus on preparing those, and we will just put a description there. We're going to start an account-based pension for John Citizen. You do have the ability here to put information around billing as well. You can also tag your logo on the document, and you do also have the ability to ask for the content to be reviewed if you wish for that to have review on it. We will have a fee that will be set in there in terms of the fee that it will cost you to prepare the document, which we'll be finalising shortly. So we've got our main information page started. We then just need to go and start clicking through and preparing all the fields. So we have the Citizen Family Super Fund, which was established on the 1st of the 1st, 2004. We put in there our trustee type. We will assume, just to keep it simple, we have individual trustees. The decisions are unanimous or by majority. We then have the ability to put in address info. You can copy the address there. You can put in something else. I'll just type a separate address quickly, just to be able to show you the difference of what that means shortly. Now, also, subject to how the fund is established, you may want to set aside specific assets to be segregated. So part of what we can do here is click and add property, one asset, $600,000. We could also add bank account, so we would have a separate bank account if we're looking to apply segregation, and we may just have also, we'll call it BHP Billiton Limited, and we'll have 5,000 shares at a value of $75,000. So what we can do is specifically set aside assets there, of which we're going to be commencing a pension for $700,000. We then need to go and start adding the individuals' names. So the first one here is John Citizen. And again, we need to work through the asterisks. Now, when we look at the roles here, what we're going to be doing is John is going to be the individual drawing the pension. So we tag him as the pension member, and we flag him as an individual trustee. Now, John, we now have the ability to choose whether we're using the Keilor Road address or the Main Street address, subject to where John lives or where the meeting may be. So again, we've completed that quite simply by filling in the fields. We then scroll down a bit further. We can put occupation, we can put some of that other detail in, and then we simply need to fill out his date of birth at the bottom here, which for some reason isn't showing up, but 1st of the 1st, 1951. We don't need tax file number and so forth. However, you do have the ability to put all that information in. We also have the ability to now add his wife, Jane, as a member of the fund, and she's going to be a member, but she's going to be a reversionary beneficiary. So this is why we need to add Jane in here as a reversionary beneficiary, but also as a trustee of the fund, because she would be signing documentation. So we would tag her as a member and a reversionary, and she is also an individual trustee. We would copy the address again, and we just need to put in her date of birth down the bottom here, which gives us the minimum information required for Jane. So we can see now we're up to 34 of 39 mandatory fields completed, which we now just need to put in the pension detail. So we're going to have a commencement date, 1st of the 3rd, 2012. It's an account-based pension. The condition of release that has been met, we get to choose what it is. So for John here, we're going to say that he's met the condition of release being retirement. We set the period type in which the pensions are to be paid. We select the date in which the meeting is to occur, and we need to reference the trust deed clause in which the account-based pension can be paid. So let's just assume that that is clause 15. So we now need to include the member balance of John here. So we will say he has 850,000 in taxable and 150,000 in tax-free balance. And now that he's got an account-based pension, he's met a condition of release of retirement, so the $1 million is all unrestricted, non-preserved. Now remembering though that we're only starting the pension with 700,000 of that, so we've segregated those specific assets, and you can see there the calculation that has been applied in respect to the tax-free and taxable proportions, and it also determines what the minimum pension amount is for the year, which is reflective of the 25% reduced value for the current financial year. And it gives us a proportion there in terms of the tax-free amount. We then need to specify here whether we wish to take a minimum, which will calculate, a maximum, which will also calculate being the entire balance, or a specific amount. And if it's a specific amount, we would simply put in there $50,000, for example, which will calculate that minimum for the particular period. So we've now got ourselves in the system 39 of the 40 details actually completed. We need to just go back, hadn't finished the retirement, and we've now got ourselves the complete mandatory fields that have been done. We now only need to click the assemble document, and in a very quick space of time we will now have ourselves a draft in PDF of the pension documentation. So we simply download that, and we can literally go through and review it and be comfortable in it, and it gives us all the documentation in respect to the payment of the pension. So we have a member request to commence, the nomination of the reversionary, the asset segregation where we've specifically outlined that information. We have the resolution regarding the payment of the pension, and then we also have the details of the proportions, any PAYG and other obligations if the member was under 60, and then we have the pension confirmation back to the member in respect to the income stream that's being drawn, and again it states all that. What we finally have here is then a schedule relating to the pension's governing rules and procedures. So most deeds are fairly silent in respect to many of the rules that would govern the payment of the income stream. So what has been prepared here is a fairly comprehensive schedule that outlines some of the processes that the trustees have ultimately adopted in the payment of that as an income stream, and you can go through and have a look at that in detail at a later point. But that is basically how you prepare the pension from scratch using our SMSF document assembly product.